you tired of the daily hustle and bustle, the endless traffic just to get your little one to a good school? GMS Snap Bingo offers a unique blend of academic excellence with a holistic child development in both nursery and primary. We provide a national curriculum with an international touch. Enroll your child today by visiting our campus along Trinity College, Dabigo Road. GMS Snap Bingo, where every child's potential is a reality. Because we care.
Hello and welcome to Second Take with IDK. Thank you for watching, thank you for liking, thank you for sharing, and thank you for subscribing. My name is Mebo Kevirungi and I'm here with Isma Dakaba Chigongo. Hello, Isma.
Glad to be on the show. Hello, Mebo.
We are honored to be hosted by Inteza Sports Center. We are here in the heart of Kampala at Nankera Plaza Complex, I believe, opposite Buganda Road Court, shop GA23. They supply all sorts of sports equipment, attire, whatever you need, gym wear. And Isma has given me his Argentina t-shirt and I have given him my Spain t-shirt, courtesy of Inteza Sports Center. They also have board games in case you're looking for something for the children at home or some time to bond with your friends, Monopoly, chess. I saw all those things up there, as well as trophies if you're looking for medals and balls that we have with us here. Mine is a FIBA approved ball. Actually, the t-shirts they have are original. These are premium t-shirts. These are not duplicates. How are you feeling in your t-shirt, Isma?
A bit tight. I've put on weight today, so it's a bit tight on me. But yeah, a lot of sports equipment, including volleyball. You're just looking at basketball and football. All kinds of jerseys. If you're an institution, if you're a school, or you're buying for your team, there's so many alumni leagues that I see around: Mengo, Ndeje, Budo, SMAC, Namiliango, Chitovu, Ombachi College. My friend William Oloya, the referee, was in Ombachi. And all these alumni institutions, Nabumali High. Please, this is the right place.
Yeah.
You could come and buy some equipment for your team. Like Mebo mentioned, the jerseys are here, and also the balls and the contacts.
Yeah, I actually wanted to read them. 0705 341 730, 0782 456 759, and 0756 233 658. We are at Inteza Sports Center, Nankera Complex, opposite Buganda Road Court, near CPS. Maybe that is more familiar for people if they haven't been to
If you're
court.
coming from this side of town, from City Square, right after CPS as you're going to this side of Buganda. Remember, it's a one-way road, so you have to be very careful.
Yes.
After CPS, the next building on the side of CPS, the Buganda Road Court, then right opposite the Buganda Road Court.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
So Isma and I are wearing the jerseys of the champions, the remaining two, the last two teams standing. I don't know how many people would have predicted a final which did not include France. It would have been France and some other team, but it is Argentina and Spain. Argentina have had it easy. We will talk about that. But let us start with the mighty France. They fell on Bastille Day.
Maybe because it was a public holiday. I've seen some very uncouth jokes on social media. How anyone expected France to win on a day that is the biggest. Bastille is like an independence.
Yeah.
It's like their Independence Day. So in the end, they were knocked out for me by the only team that is almost wired to beat them. First of all, not only is it a bogey side, because France have not beaten Spain since 2006. I remember that World Cup round of 16 game where Zinedine Zidane ran rings around Xavi Hernandez and company in Germany all those many years ago. And ever since then, France have not been able to get one over Spain. And sometimes the games have not been competitive at all. And I thought that semi-final was hardly competitive. Spain won the front foot from the dressing room, and France found no answers. And I'd almost stated on the show, if you remember, when you asked about who can stop France. And I said only one team is where to do that because of Spain's ability to manage and keep the ball. It was going to be very hard for France to get a run at them because France could only win the game if it was played in fast mode, if it was a running game, and Spain will deny you that. For me, in the end, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing in the way France exited. You could call it was a meek manner. But it's because they came up against a beast that they could not manage at all. That's how good Spain can be, especially if they have a chance to manage and keep the ball. It's almost impossible to stop them.
Did they rely too much on their star power? Because I thought Mbappe was kind of lost at some point.
Every team has to rely on their star power, even if it's team sport. I think you've got what makes a team impenetrable is when you let your best players express themselves, if you give them that opportunity for them to be in charge of games. I thought on the day, not only Mbappe, I thought their big names failed. I could sit here and argue that I cannot, even after the game has gone by several hours, I cannot choose who was worse between Dembele and Olise. The two of them were very, very poor, not only because they could not get to the ball, but also because even the few times they had possession, they were more intent on gifting it to La Roja than keep it for themselves. So in that sense, you could say they relied too much on their star power, but we all knew that their best chance of winning the tournament was always going to hinge around how well their front players were playing. And for the early stages of the tournament, we could all argue that they were brilliant, especially Dembele and Mbappe and eventually Bradley Barcola. While Olise has had so many assists, I think all of us can argue could have done a lot more during the tournament. And in that game against Spain, when all of them folded, France could not find any answers. And then you also factor in the injury to Saliba, and then the early yellow card to Adrien Rabiot, who has been a mainstay of the side. Then you start to realize that all the pieces that the French thought were going to be critical to where they end up in the tournament struggled on the day. And when you do that, you're not going to stand a chance against one of the best teams in the world.
Did Didier Deschamps kind of make a mistake with the fullback, with what's his name, Lucas?
Locadine.
Yeah, Locadine.
I don't think he did. While I believe their left back position is their weak area, there are three options who are not very good. The twins, Theo and Lucas Hernandez, and then Locadine. Locadine had a very good tournament. In the aftermath of dropping Theo Hernandez, who started the first game of the tournament, and then thereafter, Locadine came in for him. He hadn't put a foot wrong. I thought it was very unfortunate for that penalty against Lamine Yamal, because as he swings the boot, he clearly knows the ball is there, but then Yamal had stolen an inch and come into that position. I don't think there was a mistake. Those are the options they have. I cannot think of better fullbacks for France than Locadine, Theo Hernandez, and Lucas. And if you were to choose between the three, I'll still choose Locadine tomorrow, even after that mistake, because I do not think there are better options in that area.
Okay. Do you think it's time now? Are we going to see a shift from the mighty France, maybe to the mighty Spain?
A shift?
In Europe, yeah. Of the powers.
I think between them, they've been arguably the best two teams in Europe over the past 15, 16 years. You could go back up to 18 years from when Spain first won the Euros in 2008, and then went on to win the World Cup in 2010, and then eventually added the Euros in 2012. Thereafter, the other team that has won the Euros has been Portugal, and then eventually Spain. But in the same period on the global stage, while Spain have won the World Cup and the Euros, France have also won a World Cup back in 2018 and got to a final in 2022. The two of them, I think, have been a hallmark of excellence. And France remain one of the teams that produce the best talent. Almost every team in this World Cup has had a French-born player, maybe not England, but almost all of them. You could forget England and South Africa and a few others, but they've had the biggest presence, and that shows that the machine that is developing players in France is that strong. Yes, between them there's going to be a lot of titles. Like I've stated, there's already been so many. Maybe in 2 years when we get to the Euros, everyone will be thinking about, how far France and Spain should go. It's not one of those things where I'm thinking it's a crisis. You know, there are cases where you lose a game. When we discuss England, I'll tell you I think it's a crisis. When France loses to Spain, I don't think there's a crisis in that. It's two teams of exceptional excellence where one has the other's number. Yeah? Spain has France's number. So it's not a case of where do France go after this. We all know where they go. They go by bringing the same players who have a talent. Maybe they prepare tactically better. Didier Deschamps walks away because he's retiring from coaching the national team. Then Zinedine Zidane comes in. Not much change in terms of player personnel. Maybe then the other players who are back in the pecking order, the Ryan Cherkis, some of the players the Desiree Doués then start to get a lot more playing time. But I do not think it's a kind of result that should cause a crisis and some kind of dressing. There are times when national teams lose games and you think the entire structure of the national team should change, like Germany has been, like Brazil should. I don't think that's the same for France at this point.
Well, I studied history in A-level. And there was this question that they used to ask. The Bourbon monarchs learnt nothing and forgot nothing. So I don't know if other teams watch other games or if I need to apologize to Senegal, because how in God's green earth did England lose in the last 10 minutes of that game after leading for so long? I know they shouldn't have scored that early, but it's similar to what Senegal went through.
I am on a forum where we discuss a lot of sport. I'm on several forums where we discuss a lot of sport. There is one where the arguments are normally bend into race and skin color. And sometimes there is a lot of blame on African teams on that forum. On that forum, there is a huge defender of African teams. I think sometimes in his dreams he views himself as a Pan-Africanist, my friend Maxali. And many of the times he makes an argument, because we had made an argument about how African teams have managed themselves in the aftermath of the second hydration break after the 70th minute. And then thereafter, the number of times they've lost to conceding late goals. But the World Cup, I think, by the time it's done, we'll all know there's been enough teams that have lost to late goals, and it's not only an African problem, because even Portugal are knocked out in a similar manner. In the case of England, I think they laid their sword and fell on it. When you're going to defend that deep for 30 minutes, you're thinking there's going to be a certain level of excellence that England could not master. Because all of us have seen teams and praised teams for playing the bus or the train or whatever tactics after taking the lead. And in a World Cup semi-final, we cannot look back and blame England and Thomas Tuchel for not getting his tactics right. Because one of the things I felt, that even when you retreat into a defensive shape like they did, and I'm answering the why or how England lost, is that even when you're playing 6 defenders, there are basics that most teams that have all those number of defenders on the pitch will have. You'll have midfielders who can keep the ball on the pitch. Then you have runners in wide areas. So what the mistake he commits in this is that you're withdrawing your midfielders in Declan Rice. You're also withdrawing a runner like Anthony Gordon. So you're retreating and not giving yourself a chance in the opportunities that you're going to have when you're going to kick the ball away. There's no one to keep it at the front. There's no one to run with it and draw a foul. So in the end, you can only blame Thomas Tuchel for how poor they managed that last phase of the game. And
There was a time they had only 3 passes in 18 minutes.
atrocious tactics in terms of how they executed that. But there's a lot we can say about England and Thomas Tuchel, and perhaps
And
it's
the
the right time to call
substitutions.
for his head. I already mentioned the substitutions
yes.
when I mentioned Rice and Gordon, and how far deep they sat. Because when you're playing in that shape with a low block, I think you do not invite the ball into your box. You want to defend and have people right outside the 18-yard area who are the midfielders to shield the back line. And he did not do that.
Sorry, I actually meant the Rashford and Tony at the very end.
Those came in after the game,
Yeah,
I think,
but-
was lost. Yeah, because the right setup for me was to have numbers right outside the penalty area. They opted to retreat and play deep into the penalty area. When you do that, you're not giving yourself a chance of winning. And for long, it looked inevitable that Argentina will get one. And then thereafter, England have to break out of their shell. But when you're playing that long, you've even forgotten how to attack. Yeah. So in the end, by the time Argentina get their 2 goals, I think all of us can agree there was going to be one winner. I think England had done enough to lose the game from a very good position. Of course, in a game that had a very poor first half, a lot of fouls committed by both sides, a lot of fouling. Both teams, I think, trying to stop each other from playing. Then England get that goal from Anthony Gordon. Then you're very certain the tactics are very easy to execute in that point from the outside looking in. You think England sit in with a low block, invite Argentina, then hit them on the break. That wasn't the case. Thomas Tuchel reacts in a totally different way, decides to throw in an avalanche of defenders. At some point, I think they had as many as 6 on the pitch before they brought in Rashford and Tony at the end. Then you start to allow Argentina all that space with the ball. And they had the opportunity they had congested the central axis of the pitch because Lionel Messi could not get room to operate. And because he's as great a player, for some the greatest player that has played the game, he reads what is happening and decides to drift to the right flank where he was going to find a lot more space. And you could almost sense before the 2 goals that Argentina scored, there are 2 chances also created off Lionel Messi.
Yes.
One to Alexis McAllister and the other to, I think, Cristiano Romero. McAllister hit the post and then Romero had forced Jordan Pickford into a save. But Messi gets onto the ball repeatedly, and the moment he gets on the ball, all those many occasions, he's going to hurt you. He's going to hurt you, even not with just scoring, but then eventually sets up the 2 goals. The equalizer and then the winner to Lautaro Martinez. Yet it's basic. I've argued on this show for the entire World Cup, and we've done this for 6 weeks. And I've said repeatedly that any team that thinks they can beat Argentina, you've got to deny Messi space, you've got to deny Messi the ball. There's got to be a plan for Argentina and Messi. And for long periods, they had a very good plan. In the central axis, you saw the amount of fouling that Elliot Anderson had to pull off. You saw Harry Kane drop back to support the midfielders in stopping Messi. But I thought the moment he drifts off that central axis and goes wide, they've got to send a battalion. You've got to send a battalion to that left flank just to ensure that Messi does not get the ball easy. Now, when he gets in that position and has so many one-on-one situations, at some point, a player as good as Lionel Messi is going to hurt you. So in that sense, there's a lot of blame, and rightly so, that goes towards Thomas Tuchel. I'm not one of those who has a lot of faith in him. I've argued repeatedly that I don't think he's a very good coach. And of course, the defense that everyone jumps in him is to say that he won the Champions League at Chelsea. But everyone has won. I'm very certain there are many bad coaches who have won. And I do not find Thomas Tuchel to belong to the excellent bracket. That's one way to look at it. I thought Tuchel was poor. But also, on the other side, when you flip the coin, how much credit does this Argentina team deserve? When do they lose? When do they know that they are beaten? None of us knows when Argentina are beaten. They've been on this run. You can call it FIFA, you can call it referees, but Argentina fight to the last minute. we haven't seen a team in the recent past, national team, as resilient with the bundles of character that this Argentina team has. To the extent that you look at some of these players and you may not think they are very excellent for their club sides. But the moment they pull that, they throw the club jersey and put on that albiceleste stripes, they are a totally different beast. So you might think about England, but also I think Argentina deserve a lot of credit. Those guys are a bunch of fighters who know that they are going to earn everything on the pitch, and they do not know when they've lost a game. And that's what keeps them going.
But is that also a vulnerability, maybe, that in case they face a really organized attacking unit?
What haven't they faced? Because, when people make this case of how Argentina, and I sense where you're coming from, how Argentina has played weak opposition, yes, in the rankings, but have the games been easy on the pitch? They haven't. Then you've got to give also the opposition credit that they show up for these games. And there haven't been too many. We've argued during this World Cup that, with the exception of, I think, Tunisia and Curacao in that one game against Germany, all the other games have been close. And there's something around that. So it's easy to say they played the weak opposition, but they've not gone there and steamrolled these teams. While we might argue that they've struggled, you've also got to give those teams credit, for the work that they've done on the pitch. And Argentina have to respond to that, and when they are pushed, they always find a response. Yes, when we get to discuss in the final, it will be a tougher game, perhaps the toughest they played, and that's what finals are. I would imagine if Argentina were playing Norway in the final, it would still be a very difficult game, because finals are never easy. But maybe they have to go up a gear, and sometimes some teams have to be pushed to play. They normally start games very slowly and then improve through them. So for me, it's not enough to say that they will lose when they meet a team that is stronger than them. For long periods of this World Cup, England have been a better team than Argentina. But when Argentina needed to raise their level, they did. And got the result they desired.
It's interesting. I wanted to read some comments here from the last show that we did. Let me see if I can find them. This is from Makubia Vicent. He says, in the last 3 World Cups, Argentina has received the same penalties as France. This World Cup, Belgium committed more fouls with few yellow cards than Argentina. Oh, they're saying, where did I get my information from? That I was one-sided.
But also, I also argued on the last show that maybe if you do not want Argentina to win, allow them get more penalties, because they are missing them. Messi has missed now his last 4 penalties in the World Cup, which is a world record. So it doesn't matter. Hand him another penalty, he'll miss it.
Then here, the same person is saying Paraguay versus Argentina. Argentina scored a goal. It's called back and disallowed after a foul. It was 20 seconds. Then Nigeria versus South Africa. A foul is committed in the box of Nigeria. Nigeria go on to score, and a goal is disallowed and a penalty given to South Africa. And they say that I should not be biased when I'm reading my news sources. But Isma, generally speaking, really, many people are saying Argentina have had it easy.
Generally does not make it right. And there is no gift as good as ignorance. There is no gift as good as ignorance. Because I've argued in the 2 major incidents that people have made noise about were against Egypt.
Yes.
Against Egypt, there is a foul. There is a foul. Lisandro Martinez's shirt is pulled and his foot is stepped on. What do you want the referee to do? To allow it? The rules allow that. He's going to call it back. Then I think now that we've had a bit of time to think about it, the emotions are running high during the game.
Yeah.
But like after a week, you've had a chance to watch the replay of Mohamed Salah. Julian Alvarez clearly takes the ball, and Salah drags his foot into Alvarez. And actually, there's something I was learning from someone who has been my friend for the past 28 years, Elvis Senono. Told me something that if you played football, if Mohamed Salah is fouled in that, he said, go and watch that replay. He will be protesting if he's certain it's a penalty. You know what Salah was? He stands and goes back. Because players know when they are protesting for what they know is a stonewall penalty, Salah should be protesting for a minute. The moment Julian Alvarez hits the ball and then Salah's foot touches Alvarez's foot, he asks for the penalty. When he knows he hasn't got it, he hasn't conned the referee enough, he gets on with it. Then all of us with our 10 MBs, yeah, or with our Wi-Fi hotspots, have the opportunity to make a case. I have no issues with it. Yeah, I understand the feeling of a fan. I've felt that way. Yeah, for a very long time, for 30 plus years watching football, I don't remember a game that United have won. Yeah, I could accuse them for cheating in every game. I don't remember a game that Real Madrid has won. Yeah, I do not remember a game that Barcelona has won, even with their excellence. But I totally understand that while I'm a fan, I'm able to make all these arguments that after some time when you sit back, you start to say, okay, United had exceptional character. They never knew when they would lose a game. They would fight for everything. And that's what I sense with that. But I also sense there is a desperation for Argentina to fail. And I totally get that. I've argued on this show that I think if sport did not have rivalries, I would not watch it. If it did not have where you think that team should never win a game, then it's not worth it. I totally understand. So I get the desperation for Argentina to fail that is going to make everyone try to pick. And if people are very honest, when referees have been bad in this World Cup, I felt the worst game that has been refereed at this World Cup was Switzerland-Colombia. That referee, I don't know what the name is, was terrible, terrible. No decision did he hand to both sides. It was so bad that both teams should have lynched him after the game. Yeah? That it wasn't even funny how poor he was in that game. But we're all going to be very picky about decisions. Let me give you an example. In that game between Egypt and Argentina, did you see an Egyptian defender who almost broke Nico Gonzalez's ankle, the Argentine left winger? From the inside, he came and kicked on the inside of his ankle. In the rules, that's a red card. It wasn't given. It wasn't even reviewed. No one has even watched a replay. But go and find it.
Well, there's a message here from Joshua. He says the Bundesliga match you talked about was between Freiburg and Mainz, 05.
Thank you.
Where the players were already into their changing room at halftime when the referee called them back.
Yeah, I remember there was a substitute warming up behind the goal area. Then he steps on the ball before it crosses the line. Then the referee calls them back because the referees did not see it. They did not see it, so they went on with the play. Then they go into the dressing room. Then the VR tells them you made a mistake during the first half. They called the teams back and took the penalty, then went back for the halftime. So if you talk about Lal, that Lisandro Martinez, they shouldn't pull it back. And I'm of the school of thought that they shouldn't pull it back because Argentina have time to defend. But the rules are totally different. We've seen incidents, that's 17 seconds. We've seen incidents where the game has been called back 20 seconds, even longer. Freiburg Mainz, thank you guys who watch the football. It was called back in halftime. The incident was in the first half. The referee called them back in halftime to take a penalty for an incident that happened during the first half. Surely.
Well, Isma, it's good. And you have your facts straight, and even our lovely subscribers and viewers, out of 104 games, we're left with only 2. If you don't have a decoder, please get one. 50,000 shillings. DST, 15,000 shillings.
50,000 is 3 decoders.
Yeah. Well, we are left with 2 games. Passport and transport. You have transport.
No, while we're here at Nankera Complex, there's a gentleman who walked by with a DSTV set. Yeah, before we started shooting, I should have pulled him back.
I think
to emphasize
because this is one game that no one wants to play, but I don't mind watching. And Isma, I know before in previous times you have said you think we call it losers match. I think that's very negative.
Third place
playoff. So will we see France trying to give Didier a farewell gift, or will Thomas Tuchel try to show, you know what, my tactics actually work?
It's a game that doesn't matter. Whether
it
it
does
gets a
for
fair
third
or
place.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Actually, I wish all confederations in the world copied the Euros. The Euros do not play this.
But
Once the
the
semi-finals
fans
are
want
done,
it. Will
do
you
they?
not be watching it? I want to see
Because I have
England,
nothing
France.
to do. The game is on Saturday at midnight.
I want to see my team know that they can beat Mbappe.
Really?
Yeah.
To finish third. Who remembers third?
We may not remember, but for now it's
Who
important.
finished third at the last World Cup?
Morocco were beaten by someone. Huh? Was that the third? Morocco lost to that person. You see, at least I
see?
remember one.
You see how irrelevant it is? Who finished third in
remember.
2018?
But
If you start to ask me who won the World Cup, I can start going backwards. Argentina, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Brazil, France, Brazil, 1990, Germany, Argentina, 86, 82, who won that? 78, Argentina. Can you imagine how is West Germany 74, Brazil 70, England 66, who won that in 62, Brazil 58. You see how easy it is to remember those. Who remembers third? Really, I wouldn't care who wins the game, to be honest. Maybe for good measure, Mbappe scores and finishes a top scorer, if that matters. I've always argued that I think by the time he retires, he'll be the greatest scorer in the history of the World Cup, just for the sheer numbers. I don't see anything. It's a game where you just send out everyone who has not had a minute. Lucas Hernandez, go and have a kick. N'Golo Kante, go and enjoy yourself. Desiree Doué, you've sat too much on the bench. On the side of England, who hasn't played? Ivan Toney, Marcus Rashford, all those guys. Oli
Rashford
Watkins.
scored at the beginning, didn't
But he hasn't played much.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the guys who haven't had minutes. Kobe Maino, go have a kick. No one will remember you for it. You have to be, I think the teams that are remembered when they finished third, you have to go back to maybe Portugal 1966, yeah, when Eusebio got them the third place. They were a very, very poor team at the time. After that, not much. I don't think France and England will even have private parties for this, for finishing third, not even in their households.
Have you heard that there are fires in Canada?
Yes, I have.
And that
I read the story on the BBC.
There is so much, do you call it smog?
Yeah.
That it might affect New York, New Jersey final.
There's actually been an alert sent out in the US of
Yeah?
the atmosphere not being very good. I always hear these alerts sent out in India. You know, New Delhi and those Indian cities, I think, have the worst atmosphere for health. Yeah. So I've seen that, and I wish this was in China. I think the Chinese would send out some kind of aeroplanes and helicopters to clear the air to ensure that the game is played in the perfect atmosphere. That's for the final, for which for me the biggest issue I'm going to have is that halftime show before we even get into what will happen on the pitch. At the FIFA Club World Cup last year, we had a halftime show that lasted 25 minutes and 8 seconds. And I remember making a case for FIFA at the time that maybe they were trying it out for the first time in 1 year, they will be better in terms of how they manage this. Then the reports emerged this week that not only shall we have Justin Bieber, Madonna, Shakira, of course, and the Ghetto Kids, who I've seen practicing in the streets in New York, that this may last as many as 30 minutes. Now, FIFA, who are custodians of the law or the rules of the game, are breaking their own rules because the rules clearly state that there will be a halftime break during games which will last 15 minutes. Now we are going to have close to 30. And that will not be very pretty. But football, like Ferguson said, when football sold its soul to television, when football sold its soul to commercial interests, it can no longer make a case on many things.
But Isma, you've always been supporting Infantino in this, at least.
I don't even to individualize it. I'm very smart to cite where FIFA go wrong and where they go right. Yeah,
And
I
if
also
Donald Trump is
understand
there,
their
add
limitations.
security.
I also understand their limitations. They don't manage borders. We can all sit here and shout, Omar Atan, Congo. FIFA do not manage borders. That is the bare thing.
That's not where I was coming from,
Yeah.
Isma. If Donald Trump is there, there's also security.
Yeah. When they make, for example, when they make a mistake in overturning the following Balogun red card, FIFA can turn a red card. The problem is it Donald Trump called. That is wrong. Yeah. In this case, the World Cup final, a 30-minute halftime show, that is wrong. That's, for me, that's where you have to draw the line. It cannot be like, these guys are so bad. This week, I was interacting with a friend of mine, Derek Wandera, who is a journalist, one of the people who is desperate to see Argentina not win, and even made an argument that Infantino is the worst FIFA president. I asked him, who are you comparing him to? Of course, I knew he doesn't have the same knowledge to understand what other FIFA presidents have done. So I asked intentionally, does he know what Jules Rimet contributed to the game, or João Havalang, or Sepp Blatter? So you have to have a comparison. Is the worst, because the worst is an adjective. Yeah? There is bad, worse, and worse. So by the time you arrive at worst, you've used all the other adjectives.
Waswa.
Yeah. So by the time you get to Waswa, you've had a chance to go through all the other adjectives. So on this one, I think they are wrong.
Okay, so we are here and we have been dressed by Intesa Sports Center. Isma, against his better knowledge, or maybe for good luck, is wearing Spain, and I'm in a jersey, thanks to Intesa Sports Center opposite Buganda Road Court on Buganda Road, shop GA23. The final of finals come this Sunday. We are New York, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Who takes FIFA World Cup 2026?
I want to state this clearly. I want to say this very clearly. I want Argentina to win.
Okay.
And I'm very unequivocal about that. If you asked me 20 years ago, I'll tell you I want Argentina to win. 20 years
For you,
from
it's
now,
always Argentina.
Yeah, I want Argentina to win. But if they are to win the game, I think they have to do some of the good things I thought they did against England, because that's the best game Argentina played in this tournament. Their transitional defense has to be better. For me, it's been one of their biggest challenges in the earlier rounds of the tournament. How they play without the ball when they are tracking back has been very poor. That improved against England, and I would want to see this, more of the same. I also enjoyed a lot of seeing Julian Alvarez drift into the left side, because then he could drag a defender out of position, and that could create a bit of space. But in many cases, they haven't had very good runners from midfield. The closest I think we've had from a runner from midfield has been Enzo Fernandez. Boundless energy, and is making that run from the midfield to get into the box, because that has also created a bit of trouble. The other things that Argentina have done well, resilience, character, we can all relate. I think we have enough evidence over the past 5 to 6 weeks about how this Argentina team fight for everything and never know when they've lost. But they are coming up against a team that if you do not play well, you're going to be embarrassed, because of Spain's ability to keep the ball and deny you space, and you cannot play without the ball. You're not going to get the ball to Messi unless you get chances to move the ball on your own. Spain have been brilliant because of their ability to keep the ball. After some of us perhaps had written off Rodri because of the injuries that at Man City, he's used this tournament to remind us about how good he is as a player. And ever since he was joined by Fabian Ruiz, remember Ruiz did not play in that first game against Capo Verde, where they drew goalless. Ever since he came into the side, I think they've been more fluid. And one of the things that perhaps that is good about Spain is that they've improved as the tournament has gone. You know, there is that old thing that we always discuss as analysts, picking too early, Peaking, picking too early, which maybe France did, that by the quarterfinal game against Morocco, where they were dominant, they had already peaked, they had reached their peak. Now, Spain have been improving with every game. That's why all of us questioned how good they were. We questioned the influence of Lamine Yamal on the tournament. But as the tournament has progressed, we can all sit here and argue they are a much better team than they were at the start of the tournament. And that should frighten anyone that the team gets this better as the tournament goes on. That means they have another gear to go. They are also able to use a very unheralded striker in Mikel Oyarzabal in that front line. I don't think many of us even pay attention after he plays at Athletic Bilbao. But his ability to run between the lines and create space for all the other players to get into that box. And then himself is also getting the goals when he needs. Maybe most of us underrating, we even forget that he scored the goal that won Spain the Euros 2 years ago against England in that final. There's so many good things about them that, for me, first you break down with, Argentina have to break down the game, starting with Rodri and Fabian Ruiz. They have to think about how they are going to challenge the backline, because Pedro Porro, in some phases, while he has been very good defensively, he's also had a bit of time to get on the front foot and even scored against France. You think about Pedro Porro and Cucurella on the full-back positions. Then Paul Kubasi at centre-back, plays the game with the intelligence of a 35-year-old, and is only coming out of his teenage years. And then he has a very old wise head in Aymeric Laporte standing besides him. And I've argued the entire tournament that the tournament cannot finish without Lamine Yamal having an influence. I do not think that penalty is sufficient for an influence that Yamal will have on the tournament. Maybe this is the moment. And he gets a chance to play against a player he's been compared to from the time he was lying in a Benson, because of Lionel Messi, and Barcelona knowing that this is the guy who is the next Messi.
How is the word poignant? How that picture that keeps on resurfacing?
Actually, I saw the gentleman who took the picture. I think was interviewed on Al Jazeera or Sky News. I think Al Jazeera this week. The French, the Spanish journalist who took that picture of Messi washing Yamal. It's a once in 100-year event.
I know.
It won't happen again. It hasn't happened before, but here they are. One is 39, the other is 19. The heir apparent to the throne. The man with the throne is not leaving. He's not abdicating yet. He thinks he can deliver another World Cup to Argentina.
This should be his last.
It should. At 39, it's unthinkable that he'll be here. To the extent that the argument that is being made by those who have, because from when Messi first broke through, by early as 2003, before even he played his first game for Barcelona, because he played his first game for Barcelona at the age of 17, and wasn't even 17 yet, the comparison was always whether Messi can eclipse Maradona. And of course, he did that by winning the one World Cup. Now he has an opportunity to win two and go past Maradona. And then all those arguments about him and Diego, well, because he's already the most successful footballer. The stats is won 46 trophies and no one has won more. I think the next should be Toni Kroos and those Madrid players who are second with 43 or 44, around those numbers, and Luka Modric, and he has 46. So he has quite an opportunity to ensure that the heir apparent has to wait another 4 years. But sometimes you get to think about, if Yamal can win the World Cup at 19, how far can he go? He's already won league titles.
Let's talk about the team not conceding a
They've
goal.
conceded one.
I mean, okay.
Unai Simon has conceded one. And part of it for me is not because Unai Simon is making those brilliant saves in an avalanche, or they've been brilliant defensive, but you're not going to score against them unless you have the ball. And Spain are going to deny you the ball.
Their possession.
Their possession statistics are obscene. And when they are able to do that, hardly can a team get at them because of their ability to retain the ball, to win back possession very quickly and knock it around and keep it. So you're not going to score against them unless you get possession.
But we have seen Argentina's resilience, so they will push them up to the very end.
Should be a final for the ages. should be a final for the ages. They are not teams with a similar style. I think Spain are better entertainers than Argentina will be. Argentina is just a bunch of fighters who know once they step within the four lines, they are coming out as victors. That's what they are going to deliver. Should be a final that many of us remember. Should be a World Cup. Maybe when we do our next show next week, we'll discuss the memories of this World Cup, because there should be very many. There are so many things that are unforgettable about the 2026 World Cup. Not only because it had 48 teams, but because the president of the country with 76 of 104 matches is Donald Trump. And in there is enough stories to tell. And he'll be there for the final. Finally, we haven't seen him in any of the stadiums. He'll be there for the final, like he was for the single game in the NBA Finals that the New York Knicks lost. I hope he carries a lot of bad luck for La Roja and a lot of good luck for Albiceleste.
I saw Mamdani. I think I saw a message that he had attended, I think, one game.
Yeah, the mayor of New York.
Yeah, the mayor, the Ugandan
yeah.
mayor of New York.
The former Daily Monitor journalist. But we are closed, Mamdani. We are currently closed.
Wow, sometimes I wonder, what shall we do after the World Cup? But there's still lots to talk about. Can you give us maybe any updates on transfers?
Which one should I? Because we need to get out of here.
Yes, Barcelona, 2 signings. No, someone is asking.
I think the week has been dominated by Manchester United. The unveiling of Andre Santos and Yuri Tillemans, because they've badly needed midfielders after Casemiro, and all of us are aware that Manuel Ugarte will leave the club. So the options they brought into that area, not entirely the most thrilling of transfers, signings that every United fan will be warning. Mwetubase, you know, there are players that you sign and then you're feeling like the moment they step up in that red, we are in trouble. They are not very enchanting, yeah? Yuri Tillemans, coming out of Villa, a lot of experience now. He's 29. When we first watched him in the Premier League at Leicester, I thought he was going to develop much higher than he has. But United need midfielders, and they are getting them in. And I can also confirm, I think their transfer business is not done. I think they're still going to sign another midfielder in that area, because they will need that. Then Arsenal, this week, let Leandro Trossard join Besiktas for very good money. And they've also, reports indicate they will be unveiling Christos Zolis, as a replacement. He's coming from Club Brugge in the Belgian league. Some call it Club Brugge, but I've heard the French call it Club Brugge when they do their highlight show on ESPN. So Zolis joins as a replacement in that position. The big hour, I think, for Arsenal fans currently should be the injury to William Saliba. Will that force Arteta's hand to want to sign another centre-back? I would imagine not. I think they have a lot of options in that area of the pitch. When you think about Gabriel and then Mosquera, then you have Piero Hincapié, then Julian Timber. We've seen him play at centre-back for Netherlands and his former club in the Dutch Eredivisie. So I don't think, it could be a crisis because Saliba is that good and he won't be playing until the new year. But I would still argue that maybe not. I don't think they need to bring in someone else in that area. It's just bloating your payroll. And then after 5 months, what happens to the player? You sign, then Saliba walks back into the side. Then the other players to go and sit for the entire season. Maybe not for me.
Okay, I know we have to go. So maybe you'll answer these questions from your namesake, Isma Taebwa, who is saying, help talk about Barcelona's 2 signings, and he wants to know Kenan and Yediz. Why is he not attracting big clubs? Yes.
Kenan? Who is that?
Kenan Yediz. I don't know. And
Yildiz, a guy at Juventus.
Yes, and then
he still has to develop.
Juventus plus all of a sudden AC Milan is making significant signings, but I think you'll talk about that. He's also asking what are the chances of Villa winning the league.
They won't win the league. If you want to look at chances, they won't win the league. Then he mentions, I think Barcelona has been Gordon, and then there's talk of Karima Adeyemi from Dortmund joining the side. I have my doubts about Gordon. I have bigger doubts about Adeyemi. I think he doesn't sometimes take the game as seriously as he should. maybe a higher level will force Adeyemi to improve as a player because he needs it. He has the talent, but he hasn't shown me enough to say the same thing like when Barcelona signed Dembele from the same club. I could sit anywhere and swear that they are going to kill him. Eventually, Dembele's injuries did not help. But you could almost sense the talent is there. With Adeyemi, still a player who needs to develop. He has so many layers to go to get to a level where you have him in your team and then you walk out and you're thinking, that is the guy we are going to rely on. Maybe not yet.
Okay, that's all we had for you, and many thanks to Nteza Sports Center who have hosted us today, who have given us these beautiful t-shirts. They are here at Nankera Plaza opposite the Buganda Road Court near CPS for gym wear, table tennis equipment, board games for those of you who love your board games, trophies,
Ludo.
Ludo.
If you're a school, come and buy this equipment.
Football, cones, and all your sportswear. Their tag is the right gear for your game. So much thanks to them for hosting us.
By the way, they also have pink boots.
Pink
You have
football
pink boots, yeah.
and they are original. These
Yeah.
shirts are original. I wish maybe we'll exchange, Isma, because I'm supporting Spain and you are supporting. I think if we cut you, we'll find Argentinian blood in you. Do take care of yourselves. We will see you next time. DSTV for 2 games left, but still get yourself a decoder for things. There is life after the game, but there is the third place playoff this weekend, and of course the final of finals, Spain up against Argentina. 15,000 shillings only with a new decoder for you.
Are you tired of the daily hustle and bustle, the endless traffic just to get your little one to a good school? GMS Snap Bingo offers a unique blend of academic excellence with a holistic child development in both nursery and primary. We provide a national curriculum with an international touch. Enroll your child today by visiting our campus along Trinity College, Dabigo Road. GMS Snap Bingo, where every child's potential is a reality. Because we care.